This video is looking at the idea of translation as a method and practice for working with inclusive and physically integrated dance. Exploring how the concept and practice of translation can be used to create more inclusion and integration within the dance world. Whether it be a dance class, workshop, club space, or your bedroom, everybody is a dancer and everybody deserves the space and freedom to express themselves and their bodies. So, what is translation? And what do I mean by inclusion or physically integrated dance? I am using the term translation to talk about the changes and alterations that we make from one thing to another. How can we translate one word to another, or one movement to another, one body part to another, or one context to another? Translation is about adaptability. We can all be expert translators. I am using the word inclusion in specific relation to integrated dance contexts, meaning the spaces where we work and learn with and from the body. Inclusion is the involvement of all marginalized groups. Inclusive spaces are intended to be open to all body types and identities. Physically integrated dance is part of the disability movement, which recognizes and celebrates the first-person experience of disability through artistic and creative means. We are going to explore translation, language, technique, and interpretation. Okay, let's go swimming in translation. The trick is to keep breathing. Before we begin talking about language and translation, I want to explain some of the terms that are important for this section. Language can get very complicated, and the idea is not to lose each other. Number 1, social and medical model of disability. In this video, I will be referring to the social model, focusing on the individual needs of each person rather than general statistics or conditions, and viewing disability as a social category. Number 2, assumption. Trying not to make assumptions of one another based on what you perceive to see. Using good intentions and respect, we can ask questions. Number 3, accessibility. How a space can feel welcoming to everybody, whether regarding the physical, emotional, or social elements of the space. Number 4, accessible language. Accessible language refers to ways of speaking that try not to exclude people. We can also use more neutral or general language when speaking about the body. For example, we can say upper or lower limbs. It is a way to simply be more conscious of the ways we speak and to always be aware of who we are speaking to. Number 5, ableism. Ableism is a term to speak about discrimination. We live in a very ableist world which generally discriminates against disability and diversity, socially, emotionally, architecturally, etc. Number 6, check-ins. I am using it to simply refer to creating a space to physically or verbally check in, meaning to ask questions and see how other people in the space are doing. Personal self-check-ins are also important. Knowing where you are at within yourself helps us to be conscious of others. Number 7, concept. Concept is an idea or a thought. In this video, I am talking about translation as a concept. And number 8, consent. Consent is a form of checking in, a way of asking, whether it be verbally, with eye contact, or with the body. Consent is something that we all need to be aware of when working with other people and with each other's bodies. Language can be complicated. Whether we are speaking different languages or the same ones, words can make us feel excluded or included. Language is a big part of translation. By being more aware of the language we are using, we can better support each other to feel included. Whether verbal language, body language, sign language, or the ways we talk, being open to learn and adapt how we use language is a big player in being a wonderful translator. It's important to think about how you translate and apply what you are teaching or learning in connection to your population. Do your research and always try to be adaptable, working in collaboration with your community. Use words, images, and themes that work for the people you are with. There are many differences between each one of us. Enjoy getting to know each other. Be sensitive and be curious. Remember, try not to assume. Learning any new language can be a difficult task, but try to enjoy sharing new words and terms with each other. My main tip for thinking about translation and language is consistency. When we are translating something or recreating a term, sign, or image within your group, try to stick to them. Consistency can be a huge support for all of us. making new systems and adaptations common and easy to remember for everybody. Now we are going to look at technique and translation. What is technique? And why do we teach it? What are integrated techniques? How can we adapt it? How can we translate technique? And what are the ways that we can learn and teach it inclusively? The word technique can often or immediately feel exclusive, like it is something only used for professionals or for experts in something. But we are all the experts of our own bodies, and we are all professionals at knowing how they move and what they need. And this is a technique. Let's explore the idea of technique in relation to translation and physically integrated dance. Here are my tips. Number 1, going back to language. The language we use is very important. A dance technique like ballet, for example, uses specific language. But with translation, we can adapt this language and use words like bend instead of plie. We can use imagery like toast popping out of a toaster to visualize or experience the idea of a bend in our bodies. Number 2, when teaching or working in a class, you will always be working with different bodies. Be aware of who is in the room and try to show examples relevant to your community. Number 3, be radical and change the idea of what a neutral starting position is. Question what you name or call your starting position. There is nothing neutral about ableism. Number 4, time. Take time. Technique can be hard and tiring for everybody, and we all need time to learn. Number 5, space. Remember the floor, walls, chairs, ballet bars, and millions of other physical supports and surfaces that can assist you to adapting technique. Number 6, use each other. Partnering with somebody else and teaching each other is a good test to see how the technique has landed within each person. So finally, let's talk about translation and interpretation. This video is an introduction to translation and a reminder that we are already doing it. We are the translators of our experiences and the interpreters of our lives. We are all experts of our own bodies and of how they move. Dancing is pure medicine for many of us. Listening to music, feeling a rhythm, following our intuition and letting our bodies experience it. Dancing is magic, and it's the job of all of us to keep doing the advocacy and activism required to create spaces where we all get to feel invited to dance and supported to keep dancing. Often inclusion becomes something that is forgotten and later added on. Let's try not to be tokenistic, but genuinely and generously cultivate translating as a practice in each one of us. Think about what you need to feel included in a space, and what does access mean to you? What do you need to arrive there, be there, and to leave there? It is a huge task to challenge the ableist structures and society that we have been predominantly raised in, but it is not impossible. Inclusion begins with an awareness of creating a space that is both emotionally and physically safe and accessible. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Be curious and respectful, and try to assume good intentions of each other. Being responsible and conscious of ourselves and others always. Remember to have fun and to enjoy all the juiciness of teaching and learning with and from others. To learn from the body and its endless offerings. The gift of seeing things from someone else's perspective and the gift of dancing to somebody else's rhythm. Let's forever continue to create spaces where everyone is invited and everyone is supported to be there. It is no easy task, but by nurturing the translator in each one of us, we can move a little closer. Thank you for watching and keep dancing. This video has been made in collaboration with a free downloadable fanzine full of exercises for working with the concept of translation in physically integrated dance. The zine is meant to be used, adapted, shared and distributed. Sharing is caring. Included in this fanzine is a list of resources. It is in no way complete, but it is a beginning. The exercises and resources shared in this fanzine have grown from many different places and peoples, histories and bodies. Thank you to all of them, to all of you. To download the document, please go to the following link.